I call meeting to order at 4:32 p.m. Monday, July 14, 2025. So we don't have any guests. Acknowledge them. Roll call, please.
Zagami,
Here.
Jordan,
Here.
Hubbard is excused, Mumper.
Here.
And then for those of you who maybe don't know, Luis was applied to be the next trustee to fill that vacancy. So with him being appointed as trustee, he then was removed off of this committee so that we didn't have three trustees on the committee. So we'll be looking to fill that vacancy. So my understanding is there might be a person appointed at the next board meeting, but that's next week. So yeah, be back to a full committee in August here.
Okay. Item 4, public comment, none.
No one.
Item 5, approval of 6/9/25 Public Work and Utility Committee meeting minute.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, I have it, thank you. Item 6, acknowledge June 2025 water and sewer permit.
Move to acknowledge.
A second,
Second.
discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Item 7, acknowledge submittal of 2024 annual drinking water quality report, consumer confidence report.
Move to acknowledge.
A second,
Second.
discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, I have it, thank you.
Do you want Josh to go through that at all?
I looked at it at length and there's a lot of detail there that I really appreciate. You know, and so I mean, for me, I think the important thing is that anybody that really wants to review what our drinking water situation here in the village is, there's enough information for them to do
I've
that.
got calls actually asking for explanations on stuff. A
Well-
lot of it is actually just kind of generated through the DNR. We add a little spice on our own little water report there, so.
Well, that was what I was concerned about is you put enough information out there that'll start all kinds of conversations.
There is that too. We did get our unregulated contaminant monitoring rule 5 results, but we didn't get them in time to include it in this, so we could add a little more confusion for some stuff, but that'll be in next year's report, so. We tried to give an overall how they can find more information on what we actually sample and what our results are and stuff, so if they want to get into the nitty-gritty, they certainly can, so.
Yeah.
I guess the only other thing is this was our first report that did have wells 7 and 8 included in it, so. Now we have 8 wells in our system, or 7 in our main distribution system, and 1 over in Cary, so.
So is DNR gonna review this or they're gonna put it on the pile for whenever they get around, take a look at it?
I mean, we have to check the boxes, so I mean, the page that you're seeing up right now, that's kind of what everything that we do for our compliance sampling is kind of dumped into their database, then that is kind of spit out once I put in when our meeting dates are, and where people can find information for it, but it's really just kind of a cookie cutter generated thing. Like Rothschild, I think they literally just have this as their annual report. But we do put a little bit extra stuff kind of detailing what it is in our system for miles of main and some other things more specific to our system. So I mean, it is a little, I don't necessarily like how it's the sample date. If it's no sample date in there, it was sampled this year. If there's a sample date in there, it was sampled prior to last year. So it's the DNR's way. So that's kind of what we have to work with, so.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is, I guess, probably from the DNR's perspective is, so the MCL is the maximum contaminant level. So if, you know, as you look through it, our range or our level found is less than the contaminant level. So
Yep.
as far as, I guess, a lot of the DNR is concerned, we're under the contaminant level. So good job, you know, if all said and we would have a bunch of items that were well above that level that we'd probably start having more interaction there, so.
I had just one, I did have one question. Did they just give you a violation by mistake? Is that what that report?
I've reached out and I was actually meant to bring that up too. So it was turned in, we had to submit, are you talking about the material inventory analysis?
Yeah, it's developed.
Yeah, or-
Yeah,
material
because when I read it,
database.
I'm like, well, we got a violation, but we didn't, but it was by mistake. Is
So
that-
our service, sorry, yeah, our service line material database, when we had submitted it, apparently there was a delay in them communicating to us that there was a few that apparently I had labeled as unknown on the customer side for their service. So I had to go in there and change what the material type was. And then it was fine, but it didn't reflect that in there. So I reached out to make sure that everything is copacetic. I haven't heard back from them yet. But everything is submitted, it's online. I got confirmation that they received and it was approved until I saw that in here when I populated the report where it showed that there was a violation. So it is online and the service line inventory is something that we gotta work through. Every year, we probably gotta revisit it and just make sure what's added, new homes that we add, we gotta add that to our inventory. So, I mean, I'm sure there's some mistakes in there. We mislabeled a couple things, but it's something that we'll have to just keep working through. If we dig up a service and we found out that it was something different, I mean, we do not have any lead services. That's the kind of the biggest thing and the biggest impetus of this material service line database was for all the lead service line replacements to be noted, which we have none, so.
But yeah, just have the data violation and date violation resolved as the same day. as-
Yeah, well, and I can't, so that's generated, I can't remove that out of there, but yes,
So I was confused by it. I'm like, how do you get that and resolve it the same?
yeah.
You see, I work a lot with DNR in the past, and they just told me flatly, he said, if you think we're gonna give you a clean bill of health, then you submit the report, that's not gonna happen. Find something, we're gonna ask for. So, now, and you do a great job and submit it, but still they're gonna come back and.
Never perfect.
Okay.
So, these report what, every 2 years,
Every year.
every year?
So this report is created for last year's sample results and everything that we did in 2024.
So you don't redo everything practically, you just review and update it.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, I mean, a lot of times the kind of the front end stuff we have, we're updating our lane miles, our number of wells and some of the stuff that changes for us as the Village of Weston, but a lot of the information that's under our inorganics or our disinfection byproducts, that stuff's all kind of cookie cutter. That just gets boilerplate material for what we do for that year for sampling. It automatically updates in the DNR system and then it's generated through their online system.
Okay. Other question?
I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Staff reports, CIP update,
Weston Ave still chugging along. The pipe crew should be back this week.
blasting is finished.
Blasting is finished, so I'll be moving through that and getting the roadway built or rebuilt between Von Kennel and Huron. They are kind of encountering what do I want to call it, kind of I don't think it's quite a peat, but almost like a hidden topsoil layer about say 1.5 feet, 2 feet below where the existing road bed was. So spending some time getting that material out of there and putting back in suitable material. So I guess it's not uncommon for us in older parts of the village that never had water and sewer before, as we start digging, finding that back in the day, they just maybe dug out some of the ditch and put it in the middle and then covered it with gravel and called it a road. So catching pockets of that, it's not necessarily consistent throughout, but there are pockets of it that's slowing down the road building just a little bit on that portion. The Alderson to Birch part of Weston Ave, the multi-use path was paved. It was 2 weeks ago now.
Excuse me, Michael.
Yep.
What they do with blasted material?
It's still in the ground. They haven't excavated it out yet.
Well, they haven't excavated.
No.
So what's the plan?
If it's of usable, for the most part, they're just gonna dig it out and put, trench backfill back in.
With the rock? With those rock?
Well, they'll remove whatever rock is in there and then put new material in.
Yeah, we don't want rock at top of those pipe.
Yeah, so if they say they blasted the 10-foot trench, anything in that 10-foot column will be coming out.
So where he's disposing it, that's what I was getting at.
It's up to them to, if, I guess if we look at it as they start excavating it out and say we want to keep it, we could ask them to take it to Ryan Street, or it's up to Integrity, I guess, to.
Huge rock keeps crashing and all that stuff with it. But we got nobody's disposing it someplace in the village or out of a village or what?
Yeah, I mean, if it's something we think we could use and get crushed with our base course in the future, or if it's something that'd be usable for riprap or something, we could keep it, but if it's not something we'd want to use, just like any other spoils on the project, it's up to the contractor to dispose of.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah, so the Weston Ave Alderson to Birch, the path was paved. This week they should be getting the rest of that side slope restored along the path, and then that one's done. East Jelnik and Von Kennel, the line painting was done. There's still that one spot that will be restored later this year of asphalt where it's kind of settling. Otherwise, for the most part, that project is also done. I think the last 2 hydrant adjustments were done Friday. I saw them out there, taking care of those. And there's, I think, maybe 1 or 2 driveways kind of on the punch list to follow up on, but for the most part, again, that one's done. Schofield Ave, if you've driven through there, we're now driving on the asphalt lanes on the north side, and they start breaking up the concrete on the south side. So kind of a repeat of phase 1 now is happening in this second section. Fuller Street's the other one that's currently underway. So storm sewer and water main valve and hydrant replacements, adjustments are going on north of Rogan Lane. So today they're at Tricia, tomorrow they'll be at the Morning View intersection. I think they're hopping back to Thomas and then maybe Ross Avenue later in the week. And I think that kind of completes the intersections along that stretch. And once that utility work is out of the way, they can start building the roadway. So and while they're doing that with that crew, they have a second crew out at Kellyland Park digging the storm pond. So if you've driven by there lately, it's a really big deep hole. So and all that sand currently is coming to our Ryan Street site, so we can use it on future projects. Let's see. And those are the main ones undergoing. We did have kind of a touch base meeting with RC Pavers for the business park and hospital area repaving for this year. So making sure they get that work started here in a timely fashion so that it can all get paved before the snow flies this year. And I guess, yeah, we're still getting through design on some of these other projects and kind of coordinating some items with the DOT at the various levels. And then the well 4 project, the GAC tanks now are looking like they'll be delivered the first week of August, and should get that whole area back up and running, hopefully by mid-September, pumping well 4 water back to the system. And then well 3 was submitted for the emerging contaminant safe drinking water loan at the end of June for the next funding cycle here. And we did have a meeting with MSA to go over the Cedar Creek Interceptor Road. So they're looking at the easement exhibits and kind of evaluating the scope that they should be providing us a contract for. So.
Anything else?
Probably, I'm also, I guess overseeing the Kennedy Park project, so if you've driven over there, there's work going on too.
We reject the grant, what's the plan? Is there discussion on that?
The grant funding for Kennedy Park was what do I wanna call it? It was a recommendation from the state representative earlier this year saying there's this budget surplus, you guys should see if you
Yep.
can get some of that money. So when we started the Kennedy Park project as the village, that money didn't exist. It wasn't
Wasn't in the plan.
it wasn't in the funding plan at all. If anything, it was a bonus when the state representative presented that
You know what I
option.
was talking about?
No, he did. I mean, it was an opportunity. It just wasn't something that went through all of the legislature, but we weren't counting on those funds.
Oh, okay.
It would have been great. It would have progressed us faster, but it doesn't slow us down because it wasn't like we needed that in order to continue.
But they give $30 million for the dam. Weyerhaeuser Dam, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know they were asking for a lot of money too. To maintain that, because I think that dam some of it was still original from the early 1900s. So we tried.
Well. Okay, there was a project here. What happened to the master plan? Where are we with that?
The DOT and the consultant are still going. There's a long story for essentially the DOT process to get the consultant contract signed has taken a while between the consultant and the DOT to go back and forth with each other. I've expressed my displeasure to the DOT about the length of time that it's taking.
Is that the cost of the project or?
No, it's just getting it contracted.
Consultant asking too much?
No, the last I heard, it was a difference of 13 cents when they ran the billing rates to the projected hours.
What's the holdup?
Well, they had to go back and get all the new documents signed, and then it has to go to central office, and central office only signs
That makes
contracts.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Any question for Michael?
I was ready to mail the DOT a quarter and tell them to keep the change and just let's move on.
Well, I know one time the guy come and audit our book, we were short, I'll give him 10 cents.
Yeah.
He didn't take it. Thought that was an insult. It wasn't really. That pond construction, when is that gonna start?
So we're still going through the Clean Water Fund cycle with the DNR on that, and so kind of awaiting some of those other kind of grant and loan programs that we submitted for, so. And I think, I can't remember if I mentioned this last meeting or not, but after further review, the DOT may contribute now to the pond as their region or their statewide stormwater team, as they were reviewing it for the Clean Water Fund, said, hey, this could probably be helpful for the state's TMDL compliance as well. So they're also kind of reviewing it to see what their contribution may be to the pond, so.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned it. That's great news.
Yeah. So.
Can you both dip into the TMDL out of the same pond?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? That's it. Schofield Avenue is on schedule.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of were predicting right after the 4th to switch lanes over, and we switched over right after the 4th here, so.
So he's gonna finish it on time.
Should be, yeah.
Ready for good weather.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, they were probably a good week ahead of schedule, and then the rains came and they just couldn't quite, so. They would never admit that they were ahead of schedule, which was probably smart on their move to.
If we finish it early, is there a reward for him?
We don't, Can't
Is there a
remember. I don't-
penalty? Let me ask you
We
that.
have penalties. I don't know if we have an incentive on this one.
If you have a penalty, you gotta have incentive.
You don't have to.
Or if you go to the court, they don't give it to you.
I mean, usually the,
They said, if you finish on time or early, you gotta reward him, because the same way, if he's late, you're gonna penalize him. So, okay. Item 9, is street operation update.
Yes. We got the rural ditch mowing and the right of way mowing still in progress. The summer help / mechanics helper is helping with them operations. Also, Mitch King and Sons finally, they finished up crushing in June there. And all the recycled gravel is ready to go. Also at the Ryan Street site, we built material bins that help separate the specialty materials that we get. Yeah, helps keep it a lot more organized and clean. Norcon Company did the repairs to the Oakley River Bridge in a matter of 2 days. Wednesday completed on a Thursday, which minimal traffic was impacted by that.
It took him only 2 days, right?
Yes,
And the cost was about what, 9,000 something?
somewhere around there, yes, about 9,500, yes.
And the area he repaired was just that big square in there, right?
There was multiple on both, like, there's little ones on the other lane as well.
Okay,
Yeah, there's the big patch and then there's a couple more upstream and then on the other side as well.
yeah, I'll just focus on that big one. I
Yeah.
thought.
There was, yeah, multiple little areas.
Okay, the other 2-bed, Michael, was what? You had 3-bed, right?
I think on that one, we just had the one.
No. It was 9,000, there was another one higher, I think. It's okay. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And just on the topic of the bridge, what is the remaining life of that bridge?
The way it sounds to me, like they sound checked it and it's sounding more hollow every time. So
I'm
I,
asking.
yeah, I don't know that they're saying that these repairs are gonna be a lot more frequent. Cause I do look back and we repaired it 4 years ago.
Because that was falling back, yeah, I wanna say already, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not gonna get any better once
No,
that
it's
starts.
gonna
It's
keep up.
gonna keep going, right?
Yeah, I think the last kind of 2020, 2021, that was maybe a 10-year fix. So,
Okay, and that's what I was gonna say, like in our budget items, are we starting to look ahead on that one?
yeah, I mean, that'll be a bridge probably in that 5 to 10-year range. It's really hoping there'd be another crossing of the river at some point here, figure out how to,
What do you do when you gotta, yeah,
yeah.
that's not an easy answer.
I know the county is looking at some bridge work over on Highway J. So some of this will start be coordinating with them so that we don't accidentally have both this bridge and the Highway J bridge down at the same time, because that could really cause some traffic issues. Because taking Guzman, Rosso out to Guzman down J is kind of the eastern alternative. Otherwise, everybody would be looping back up to N and coming down X here past us, so. Try to keep at least. Yes.
And just one other comment on that bridge, is it a problem? There was a large, I don't know if it's still there, I'm guessing that came down a large tree that's right up against one of the center posts.
I have not seen that.
Okay,
In the river still, or,
Oh, in the,
okay,
yeah, I don't know if it's a problem or if you just, it doesn't matter.
shouldn't be for any structural reason, but.
yeah, the pier should be okay, it's really just the flexing of the deck or.
These are river, is DOT, they don't want you to touch. I'll call them, oh yeah, I had a couple tree right in the front, and I'll call them and I said, these are falling down and people kayaking. So it's okay. They didn't want to do anything. But the ice come and took it. Go ahead.
Okay. The DPW staff also installed a retaining wall due to that Trots or Apache project, kind of finalized that corner. They were having complaints about the utilities being so close to the edge of the road, not being able to maintain it. So built the retaining wall there to help conceal that corner better. And then on the road construction side, the staff, they excavated out one of the bad spots on Bushka Street. Performed a 2-foot excavation of the material, which consisted of a topsoil and a clay. Something similar to what Michael was talking about earlier on West Neck, just rolled the ditches into the roadway. They dug that out, got to a good bedding. Replaced it with a foot of break rock and then 12 inches of gravel. All the materials were compacted back at the site, and the site was approximately 160 feet in length, 20 feet wide, which we got done in 2 days.
Was there a base course in there?
Minimal, it was granite was the base.
Right, exactly. The whole subdivision, he built it like that,
Yes,
so. That road doesn't hold up, that's.
yeah. We're gonna have to be doing more sections probably yearly to get that road built to a proper standard.
All right,
Then we did the concrete work on Alderson, 6409, where a water main break had taken place over the winter. Crew poured back the sidewalk, driveway, apron, curb line. Also did the topsoil and restoration of blacktop. Between the 2 sites along on Alderson Street, there occurred over 60 feet of curb, 25 feet of sidewalk, and 10 feet of driveway, apron, concrete totaling just under 6 yards. The crew installed the culverts of Shorey between Anastasia and Heron, but that road is getting pulverized and getting repaved along the Shorey Ave project, so we had to get some proper drainage in that area. And then add gravel. Once they pulverize that road, we'll be adding another 3 inches of gravel to the top of that. Then the staff has also been working with Haas Construction on Schofield Avenue, doing the topsoiling and hydro seeding along between the curb and the sidewalk from Normandy to Burr Street. The crew of 5 did all that. They were done in a matter of 2 days, just kind of took them to do. So they did an excellent job on that. And then in the shop, we had unit 55, which is the shop truck, needed service, and then they added a lift gate to it, which the foreman found a good used one in working good condition online, installed in house. The tracked excavator was in full service. Number 113, the Lizard, we call it, the mowing tractor, was in for full service, but it also had a transmission rebuild. Transmission went out on it. 81, the street sweeper was in for maintenance and worn parts. The new trailer was brought in and wired for our trucks. And then number 8 is the 2012 1-ton. Got an aftermarket backup camera installed for extra safety and make it a lot easier to hook up trailers to it. And all the work and installations are all done by the mechanics on staff.
anything else?
That'd be it.
Question for Forrest? Okay. Utility operation update?
Had some of our miscellaneous well maintenance items with some chemical feed repairs, just the usual small leak type stuff. We had continued with a number of lateral inspections, photo included. We did have some damage to one of our wells. I included a photo of some fencing that we did repair ourselves. I guess jumped the gun a little. Our water main flushing did begin last week, Monday, last week, Monday. Have a little different setup this year. We used to always start over by well 1, working it down that way. We kind of have an isolated system here with kind of down Camp Phillips where we're flushing from well 7 and 8. The guys have got all the way down from 7 and 8 down to the Everest Tower. They're working through, they got through kind of our Crestwood Acres subdivision already. They're working over kind of to the east of our Weston Elementary School, working towards, I think next up I saw was like Sternberg Timber area. They'll be flushing onto then Ross. They'll be continuing all the way kind of to the east of the system, and then they'll come back and kind of utilize the cleaned flushed areas to then continue flushing the clean water out to the west end of our system. We've been quite busy as well on some of our street projects. Fuller's been pretty much a shut off daily for different intersection works that we had to have some valve repairs and replacements and some hydrant addition. We've kind of reconfigured some of our valve orientations along Fuller for some better flushing operations and just a little more ease of shutoffs when we need to have them shut off. Sewer side of stuff, we're also on top of our flushing. We got our sewer jetting continuing. So our flushing and sewer jetting basically takes 4 of our guys, and that's what they basically do all day. So it's tough getting some other stuff in. We do have a summer help on staff. We're also continuing, we have some work on our new vac trucks, setting up some items. We did continue to clean our bad spots, collect our pH probe data. We do have a number of additional probes now. We haven't been able to kind of deploy everywhere we want. It's been tough to find time to get everything we want done right now, but we'll get to it. Hopefully come fall, we'll free up some time to get some of our pH probes out into the system. We had some general lift station, generator maintenance, some other general lift station filters, cleans, replaced. Our skater project has been on this for quite a while. I believe we have one more final meeting. Kind of the hang up is trying to get the designer in the area and also coordinate with our engineers to work. So I believe maybe we're looking more mid-August to probably have kind of our final sit-down assessment of what was designed, what was implemented to make sure everything's functioning as we wanted it to. I know there was a hiccup. He's got to fly in from, I think, Connecticut to meet with us. So we're trying to get a day that works for everybody. I guess the rest of it, utility locates coming in. A lot of locates, a lot of work orders still going on. Michael touched on our PFAS projects. Continue to enter our well data for the DNR. It's knock on wood, our 7 and 8 VFD issues seem to be behind us. Both wells are running well. You can see that some of the complaints have gone down. I mean, we used to get a number of them. Maybe a certain small area might have some issues yet, but hopefully once we get through with this side of the flushing of our system, we can get that side with more 7 and 8 and then dial back on 1 and 5 over there. Touched on our street stuff. I guess that's really all I have, other than our customers added and then the general data with our water pump, the lift station hours and wastewater flows. I guess we did lose utility operator. David Treba decided to move on to another job. So we're back to 4 full-time operators and a summer help who's been sick the last 2 weeks. So
You can replace them?
we've
Yeah, the job is currently advertised, so if
Posted,
you
yeah.
know anybody who would want to be a utility operator, tell them to go look at it. Cause yeah, I mean, when you have 5 full-time people and you lose one, that's 20% of your staff, so.
Right. So especially in the summertime, that's a busy time of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically 4 guys are always dedicated, 2 to flushing, 2 to flush or 2 to sewer jetting. So if anything pops up, it's hard to continue with some of the long-term project or long-term maintenance items we have, so.
Yeah. And I guess in that same respect, we are also down one person on the street crew right now too, so that's 1/8 versus 1/5, but still. We have a couple of interviews lined up for later this week for that position.
Well, anytime you lose anybody, it's just the work that individual doing is on hold, that's all these students.
Yeah, you still try to,
I think we've learned a couple things to kind of not put people's feet to the fire, but when there's things you need to check off on your to-do list, I think we need to hold them to it and put maybe some deadlines in place to make sure they're doing what they gotta do and they're here for the long haul.
When is the PFAS on well four supposed to be completed?
Well, tank deliveries kind of August now, they should have up and running, hopefully September.
yeah, kind of mid-September is kind of start up with completion by, I think second week of October is their contract date, so.
Hopefully when we
Should
get
be
it.
sooner.
When we get a confirmation of tank deliveries, not just a future date, because we've had, I think, April and then it was May and then now it's July and then it's August, so. Hopefully, once we get some confirmation they're there, because then I think they need to be outside for a week because there's some painting and some preparation that they have to do on site before they can move them into the facility, so. We get too late in the year, then we get to, moisture issues in the air and different things to make sure the paint adheres to the tank, so we better be getting them in August.
Then what is the plan once it goes into effect? Is that just draw down from other parts of the system?
No, I mean, it's basically gonna be back up and running how it was with our temporary system. I mean, we had a temporary PFAS treatment system where we were only able to pump it at 450. So these tanks, once then well 3 is back online as well, they'll both be able to pump through this PFAS treatment into our clear well, then our booster pumps can still pump it at, I don't know, what do we hit, 1,300?
1,200.
Yeah, like 1,200 gallons per minute, so. It's on the horizon where we can have 7 and 8 pumping, we can have 3 and 4 pumping with PFAS free, iron manganese, limited water, where then, we can really isolate that 1 and 5 over there to hopefully get, the best water quality we've had in quite a long time, I would say.
Yeah, so 1 and 5 would essentially become, I wouldn't say offline, but maybe just used for an hour at night just to keep them active. But we'll get into that on item 16, 15, something like that later.
Okay, question? Chuck? Thank you. Okay, item 11, Gelnick Construction Service Contract Amendment. Michael?
So when we initially seeked proposals for the design and engineering inspection for the East Jelnik project, the RFP that all the consulting firms used to provide their costs for was based on an estimated 22 weeks of construction. In reality, it took about 32 weeks for construction, plus the as-built drawings, meetings, those items. So the actual cost incurred by Clark Dietz is an increase of $47,250. If I kind of compare that back to, how their initial contract shakes out, it actually appears to be a lower billing rate than what they had based their initial proposal on. So, there was additional time on the project. So I guess it seemed to be very reasonable to me to cover their actual inspection hours on that project.
Question on that?
Overall, you felt it was reasonable?
Yeah. I mean,
Do they give you a weekly report or something during the construction?
yeah, and I don't know, maybe there's a better way for me to handle this moving forward. It's generally one of those things, and in the past, all of a sudden we have, construction services change order 5, 6, 7 because we think, okay, the project's gonna be done in a week, so, or in the next month, so we get one approved, say in, September to get us through October, but then, the project dragged on, so now they spend more hours, so. And maybe it's just me that needs to say, hey, just so you know, we are running over on some hours here, but, we're making sure it's being captured. It's not just, at the end of the day, we didn't meet our profit margin, so I need more money.
I think they should give a change order request right away before they go with it.
Okay,
It doesn't have to be processed,
sure.
but it has to be as a record. So at the end of the project, you may have 4 of them,
Yeah,
and add them up and then say, okay, here it is.
sure. Okay,
If you don't get that, so you rely on him, and what he's gonna do, he's gonna look at his daily log
Yep.
and come up with the number, and that's what he has done with $47,000.
yeah, so I do have the monthly invoices from them for hours incurred, so it's. So it is backed up by real time spent, not. An end of project, all of a sudden, oh, we need to make up for something.
Sure.
I can do a better job of, I guess, even bringing that just in front of you guys on a
Yeah,
monthly
because
basis.
47,000, that's a lot of money really.
Yeah,
Change order now, so. What's your wishes? I would read, if you're gonna approve that, I would read exactly what they have.
Yep. I move to recommend the village board approve the contract amendment number 2 for the East Jelinek and Von Cannell Street Reconstruction Engineering Services contract with Clark Dietz for an amount of $47,250 for additional time spent on the project above and beyond the original estimated hours set in the RFP.
Second,
I'll second.
discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, I have it, thank you. Item 12. Public Work and Utility Committee Ordinance Update.
yeah, I guess we talked about this at the last couple meetings, so this just adds that word, significant, into the ordinance for the review of any changes, improvements, remodeling, et cetera, to any municipal buildings or other village buildings, or other property. I really don't have anything else to add.
I'll move to recommend approval of the ordinance amendment to section 214 of chapter 2, administration to the board of trustees as presented.
Second,
I'll second.
discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, I have it, thank you. Bucket truck purchase.
All right. So the capital equipment budget this year had the kind of allocation of 400,000 for public works equipment. We've used that to purchase a grader, the hydraulic hammer, and the trailer last month. Additionally, we had 150,000 for a replacement tandem axle plow truck chassis. We haven't ordered a chassis yet or sought quotes yet for that. So kind of looking forward, even if we were to order a chassis today, we wouldn't be getting one until 2026. One item that has come up is our current bucket truck is kind of getting to an age where it's maybe not as reliable or as safe as it maybe should be or could be. So staff is always kind of looking at ways to update or upgrade equipment to make their job more efficient, more more productive. So if you're looking to allocate the remaining 2025 equipment fund as well as whatever portion, a portion then of that 150,000 for the plow truck chassis to upgrade the existing 2001 bucket truck. So I'd be looking to find one that's either a demo unit or something that's on the dealership's lot already if possible. So it'd cover the truck, the bucket lift itself. We use this truck for pulling pumps at our lift stations as well as at the pool. So it sets those pumps and has kind of a crane to be able to pull from underground. And then we'd upfit it to also for use within traffic, so with the proper warning lights, toolboxes. A lot of that kind of the added features, so it reduces the number of trips or even number of vehicles we maybe have to take out onto a project site. So kind of in talking to some of those types of truck dealers out there, that $220 to $230 range seems to be where most of them are coming in. We would look at selling our existing truck. Again, kind of looking at recent auctions, we're probably looking at recouping maybe about 10 grand on that sale, so.
Really?
Yeah.
Why so little?
I think the fact that so these trucks need to be inspected every year, due to the aerial lift, and, repairs to that aren't cheap, so, and even certification isn't, free. So, I think there is an ongoing cost to maintaining it
I'm
and.
training 5 guys today.
Yeah.
And it's not cheap. Yeah, we gotta crane it.
I think if they just sell the steel is more than.
And it might be, so if you find the right person that's willing to buy it, but, I think, Brian kind of highlights the existing truck in here somewhere too. So, I mean, it's got 119,000 miles,
Right.
so, based on the hour usage, he equates that to 746,000 miles. So, in the last 12 months, we have put, some effort into, keeping it running and, making sure that it is, a safe vehicle, but, again, our biggest thing is when we have equipment, we want to make sure that A, it's safe, and B, it's available when we need it. If a storm blows through and all of a sudden there's limbs or things like that we maybe need to help cut, we'd prefer to be able to get out there and do it right away versus, then all of a sudden hiring a contractor. We've been in that situation before. And then we're paying a contractor to do the work that we could have done at a rate that's higher than ours, so. So a lot of that is just making sure we have a piece of equipment that is reliable and really in this one case, a safe piece of equipment. Since you're up in the air working and you want to make sure you're not all of a sudden running into a hydraulic issue or something else where you're stranded up there.
What is the capacity of that crane on that truck?
Of the existing one, or what we'd be looking to get?
Either way.
I forgot. So this one has a 1,000 pound capacity. In the winch, 500, it says a 500 pound lift capacity, 1,000 pound jib.
So you may be under the exception then for having a crane listed, so
Probably,
I
yeah,
think that's, it starts at 1,000.
sure.
That's probably why it is 1,000.
Yeah.
It's like usually on an accident. Okay.
Well, I had the guy, he got stuck up there and he couldn't bring it down. They brought the rope. They come down with the rope. There's 2 of them in the bucket up there. Well, it happened.
Yeah.
So when you said it's stuck up there, yeah, I remind them. I got a picture of it actually.
Sure.
Okay, what's your wishes?
So the plow truck chassis that you haven't ordered yet, do you have something that you're currently using?
Yeah, so the current truck, I think it's a 2012. So. And
So it'll get you in the next year.
it'll get us into next year, yeah.
Right.
And we do have one on order that, I think we only paid the invoice last week, so I think it is at the truck builder now. That was one of the other replacement trucks that we ordered. I don't know, maybe it was last June, so took a while to get here.
Okay,
Yeah, well, it makes sense to me to prioritize switching the piece of equipment out that's giving you the most amount of problems right now.
Yeah.
So I move to recommend the village board approve staff spending up to $230,000 for a replacement bucket truck.
second,
Before I second that, does that include sales tax or don't you have to pay that?
We don't pay a sales tax.
Okay, second.
discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, I have it. Item 14, revised job description for utility technician position to engineering tech.
Yeah, so I guess between our, besides the operations staff being down in person, our utility technician who handled a lot of our mapping features and other permitting and some of our internal programs also left us in the month of May. So Will had been with us, I think, for about 8 years. And, but his life journey was taking him back down south to the southern part of the state. So we're looking at to kind of, as that vacancy occurred, moving forward, what kind of fits best in that organization? We had a big need for updating our map when Will was hired. We made leaps and bounds on that. I think a lot of the times our utility guys go places and we're kind of the envy that we can, we've got maps on our phones. Our diggers hotline tickets get automatically email transferred to us. Like, we've made a lot of big strides in that section. So we don't maybe need a position that's as GIS heavy as that position was. And with having Ike on board and designing some of our projects now in-house, we really need somebody that we can put out on a construction project and do the inspection and help with some of the drafting and working with the surveyors to lay out the design of the project, specifications, writing, contract administration. So trying to just kind of retool this a little bit from a kind of a utility GIS focused position to a kind of that engineering tech on-site construction observation type position. So kind of looked at what other municipalities have out there for job descriptions, and kind of pay range seemed to be very similar to what we were paying the utility position. So it'd be equal on the pay scale as what
What is that?
uh,
I didn't see it. I'm looking.
pay grade J, shoot. Did I include the matrix?
No.
I did not. I forgot to include that page.
Search for it, I didn't see it. I don't know.
I wanna say it's close to like, maybe it's $30 an hour, maybe the
How
median,
much?
30.
30, so what, 65,000 a year?
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah, so the minimum would be 28.43 an hour, which would be 59,000, and the midpoint would be 32.50, which would be 67. So we would anticipate someone would be in between the minimum and the midpoint.
How many years experience?
We would put it out there and see who applies.
Well, because what you're telling me, you need somebody with experience. The guy out of college or out of technical school, he couldn't do all that.
Well, you couldn't do all of it, so and I guess that's the hard part with a job description. That's why we have the range. So if we get somebody who's fresh out of school, they're starting at the bottom, and the four of us here are out on site with them on day one, teaching them.
Train him.
We're training them.
Right.
If it's somebody with 15 years experience, they maybe even start above the midpoint, and we're.
Even 5 years experience, still I'll be happier than
Yeah.
just a brand new.
Yeah, so I mean, that's why we put a range out there, because if you get, you never know who your applicants are, so you can try to be really picky and find that person with 10 years plus experience, and you maybe don't get that application. But, or you, or you hope you could get that, but you put it down at the bottom end, and maybe somebody looks at it and they're like, well, I'm not gonna apply, they're not paying enough for my time or something, so. So, yeah,
Okay.
so this would go to the HR committee, village board for approval, since it is a new position, and then we'd start advertising for this one as well.
So then do we have budget for it?
Yeah, so it's the same as, like I said, we had the utility technician, so we won't fill that role, we'll instead have somebody in this role.
We'll move to recommend village board approve the job description and creation of the engineering technician position.
There's a second.
I'll second.
Discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Thank you. Item 15, 2025-2029 capital improvement plan discussion. Michael?
Yeah, so this one tried to focus more on the utility projects, so we talked about some of these. So as I said, we'd come back to it. So wells 1 and 5, they are kind of the last kind of major well project that we had identified previously. So we'd be looking at building a new treatment facility on the Bladel Ave site and pump water from well 1 over there, so that both wells would be treated at one place. And we'd be looking at starting that project once the well 3 work is completed. Those 2 wells are right on the threshold of the recommended EPA PFAS level of the 4 parts per trillion for PFOA or PFOS. So if there's any changes to those EPA rules, we may need to act on that sooner or turn the wells off, or we would issue the public notice saying we're running water that violates an EPA standard. So hopefully I don't think we'd want to do that part, but so we'd be looking at kind of following that. I think the most recent data I saw is those EPA rulings maybe just pushed back a couple years with the newest administration, but long story short, we're going to try to minimize the use of the water from those 2 wells moving forward as much as we can until we'd be able to get that treatment facility built over on the well 5 site. So
When is that the schedule for?
we want to make sure that well 3 is done. So hopefully, I have it in there as a 2028 kind of projected start time. But
To start construction or start design?
probably construction. We can start design sooner, and even with like the Bladel Avenue project, we're designing in a raw water line so that the Alta Verde well will pump over to Bladel, right away here, so we can make sure that we're not having to redo roads or anything else like that. So that's where having kind of that long-term plan is helpful. So as you tackle the intermediate projects, we can make sure we're putting ourselves in a position to succeed long-term and not all of a sudden have to redo a project we just did. So that one's there, and like kind of Josh and I think Roy kind of were talking about earlier, we'll have the capacity to provide water to the rest of the system without wells 1 and 5. So if we need to just use them, for a couple 100 gallons or 1,000 gallons, whatever it may be a day, just to keep them active and running, we will. But otherwise, we won't rely on them to be major contributors to the system. And then the Fox Street lift station is kind of the oldest lift station in our system. It's the one that's tucked on Schofield Ave and Fox Street right in front of Pick and Save there. That one's got
I thought the pump was replaced.
the pumps were replaced. It's got a really small wet well, and all the other electrical is also original from the 60s, early 70s maybe there. That station fills up in about 5 minutes. It pumps itself down and then it fills back up. So it's pretty continuous. So
That's a variable pump in there, isn't it?
yeah. But I mean, all the electronics, the controls, so maybe it's not that might be more of an electrical overhaul than a physical one, but there's definitely components there that we'll need to look at taking care of, just to make sure that it is it continues working well.
Well, that's a major one in there, isn't it? That's.
Yeah, I mean, if there was a failure there, and that's why I'm saying it's got a very small wet well, so the fact that it pumps essentially every 5 minutes, if there's a major failure, it's the response time needs to be pretty much immediate. Otherwise, there'll be some big backups. So those are all the fun stuff that we keep in the back of our minds and try not to let fester.
Yeah, you're making me nervous.
So And then in 2029 is when the Business 51 redo will take place, so we'll replace all the water and sewer lines under Business 51 there. You know, so besides those major kind of utility focused projects, we also include about 250,000 every year for sewer lining, which we'll use primarily in the older parts of the village of Rothschild where we have utilities. And that way we're not paying for street reconstructions in Rothschild either. And then the water side is really water main replacements after we get our facilities. We still have 9 miles of asbestos cement pipe, that's, and about 7 miles of older cast, so that 16 miles of pipe that's entering about the 60-plus-year-old range, and that's when, you know, a lot of the pipe analysis data out there says once things start hitting 60, they start breaking. So we want to try to get to them before we have too many breaks. Today, the guys were fixing a valve and water main leak on Volkman Street on the west side of Business 51. One of the pictures Forrest had in there was us repairing an asphalt patch on Volkman Street last month. So in the last 2 months, we've had 2 of these surprise fixes that we've had to make. So it's Volkman's a joint road with the city of Schofield, but it's our water main from Newport Ave north. So luckily that's where both of these breaks have occurred for us.
Is there a health concern with asbestos cement pipe?
It depends who you ask. In general,
I'm
no.
asking you.
Yeah, no.
You're just way too old.
Yeah, in general, no, it isn't. There's a lot of people out there that, you know, similar to anything else, they'll hypothesize that, you know, the AC is locked in. It's not like it's loose, friable, fibers that are in the air or anything else that you're breathing in. It's locked into the cement. So once you remove it from, you know, the pressurized system, you know, there's certain precautions you have to take when handling it and disposing of it, so it doesn't become loose, you know, kind of a dust again.
I thought you can just bury it there. You crush it and bury it.
You can, yeah, as long as you keep it buried. You know, you put in the new,
It's not airborne,
as long as it's not airborne, it's fine. Really, the big thing is it is cement line pipe, so cement eventually over time cracks. It you know, it's not permanent, so we run into these issues where also,
Romans made it.
yeah. And they made some good stuff. But yeah, so it just, like I said, seems like that 60-ish year mark is when things start just falling apart, so. So we have about 16 miles of that, so if we want to try to replace every 60 years, you know, we have to replace about 1.8 miles of main a year. You know, if we want to wait 70 years, it's about 1.6 miles of main, so realistically, we're, you know, we at least want to get to about 1.5 miles of water main replacement a year moving forward, just so we're
So where is the oldest section right now?
generally Alderson, west of Alderson Street. So the Everest edition, so the area between the junior high and senior high, that area, and then even like Willow, Cherry, a lot of the, like Bladel Avenue, that's one of the streets that's on the list for next year. That's AC main, so.
So you have what, 16 miles left?
Between the old cast and the AC, yeah.
Why don't we just replace them more than just 1.5 miles a year? Because water main is the cheaper construction and easier construction than the sanitary sewer.
Yeah, well, so the problem is once we go to dig up the water main, we're replacing the roadway where,
I was just gonna say, when are the roads up? Because that's really what you
yeah,
wanna do.
so that's.
The road is the same probably.
Yeah, so that's the fun part. I guess, you know, in these next couple pages, I tried to lay that out a little bit here as far as, you know, when we look at a project, we look at the water, the sanitary, the stormwater, the drainage, the street itself, and then any other considerations, you know, if there's a need for pedestrian ways or whatever other ancillary item there may be. So you know, like this Everest area is, you know, AC water main, there are some pretty bad roads in that. Oh, that one's just Everest Ave. Everest Ave itself also has some bad spots. It also has some spots that we recently overlaid. So when we try to look at our street maintenance budget, you know, we're trying to balance, you know, we've got a bad road, but how good of a fix do we want to make if we think that water main needs to be replaced in the next,
What
you know,
was
5 years?
for Shorey Avenue? Is it there someplace?
So Shory's part of the contract this year for repaving, so we'll be
From where to where?
X to Anastasia. And then after Anastasia out to Zinzer, we have another maintenance contract with RC Pavers to do overlays in there to,
It doesn't look good, really.
no, it's bad.
I mean, I'll bike in there, I drive in there, and it just comparing with the other roads, some of the roads we have in the village is just bad. I mean, and it's not the low traffic area either.
Yeah, so this red line is the commitments for streets this year. And even this purple, I guess I could probably update a little bit with the red. So, and I guess that's the struggle, and what time is it? I mean, we can get into the operating budget kind of discussion too, is we only have so much money and we try to balance everything as best we can. And I guess it's really, you know, up to you guys is, you know, are there items that we're prioritizing that maybe we shouldn't be, or there's other areas we should be prioritizing instead?
You know, I was driving to the Shorey, and I think about that Pacer project, you know, Pacer program. I said, that doesn't really work. I mean, how are you gonna rank that? I mean, you drive the road, you take a look at the road, you can make a judgment, this has to be taken care of it. And it is way overdue, because sometimes we rely on that program and we extend the life of the road, but it really doesn't look good.
So I can tell you, we do rate our roads, but I don't necessarily use Pacer to determine everything either.
Because it doesn't tell the story, let's put it that way.
No, I mean, it can tell you if it's a good road or a bad road, you know, based on a numerical, but yeah, and sometimes the hard part is you can have a really good road that then has a 200-foot section that's bad. And you go, well, do we try to just call out that 200-foot section, or do we average it out along the whole roadway?
So
So
sure, you're gonna be taking care of it this year.
Shore will be taken care of before winter, yes.
Okay.
We're, the initial portion of it, we're trying to coordinate with Weston Avenue, because we want another alternate route to get to Huron Street. So if Shory's under paving for construction between X and Huron, we're kind of blocking people from getting east of Camp Phillips Road. So I was really hopeful that the Weston Avenue project would have gotten through the Huron intersection by now with the road building, so that we could have traffic go down Weston Avenue, at least to Huron. And that if they needed to get down to Shory or over, they could. But I didn't want to have both of those blocked off, because those are really the only two ways east of Camp Phillips, south of the highway.
So if we're gonna do overlay, it has to be done before end of November.
Yeah. Now, we
So
should have it here. I'd say before the end of August. I was hoping before school starts, we'll have that taken care of.
great.
Yeah, so I went through a bunch of these little smaller projects, maybe not smaller projects, but projects themselves. I'm trying to just lay out the purpose, and like I said, the Everest area in general is original underground infrastructure, generally from the mid to late 60s and early 70s. And there are some roads out there that are bad, that we'll keep trying to just piece together. And again, sidewalk in that area is very intermittent. My understanding is if you had a VA loan back in the 60s, you were required to put a sidewalk in. So it wasn't necessarily a Weston thing, it was a mortgage or federal loan program item, so. If you drive through there, there'll be two houses with sidewalk, a house without it, another house with it, and then a house without it. It's very intermittent back there, so. I'd try to at least look at making something a little more cohesive. So if you have a chance to review it, provide any feedback, and then next meeting, I'll keep kind of building on it. And then I did just kind of want to highlight this was the 5-year plan from the water master plan we completed back in 2019. So that first 5 years would have taken us through 2024. Anything in green, we've accomplished, it's done. Anything in yellow is currently under design or construction. And then the orange is kind of we know we need to do it, it's identified in kind of the short term. So for the most part, we've taken care of a lot of those big ticket items. You know, the wells 7 and 8, we had the wells 1 and 5 and 3 and 4 kind of flip flop, so we're doing the work for the Mesker and Sternberg wells and kind of bump those ahead of the Balado Altaverde wells. Otherwise, a lot of those looping projects and kind of the critical crossing at Ryan Street, that was another big project we accomplished, so that was important for the redundancy and resiliency of the water system. So we now have two lines that cross the Eau Claire River instead of just the one. So I guess those were just want to kind of highlight that when we put these plans in place, we did a pretty good job following it, given the world of PFAS and COVID and everything else that hit right as we adopted that plan. So.
Hey. Question from Mike.
Oh, and then the one other thing I had in there that I forgot to mention, the STP urban projects, our applications are due at the end of October this year. To be qualified for that, the street has to be part of the MPO's urban classified system. So this green line here is Ross Avenue going through the village of Weston, if you can follow my hand. There we go. So we actually have 3 STP funded projects along this route, being this project over here with the town of Weston, our intersection out here with Marathon County, and then the Alderson to Metro route with the city of Schofield. So this program essentially could be the Ross Avenue program in a certain sense. So Ross Avenue, we've got covered. Jelnik Ave, we repaved that last year. Schofield Avenue between Alderson or Normandy and Birch is under reconstruction right now. Fuller Street we're taking care of right now. Weston Avenue south of the highway. We're going to be repaving Commerce here. So as I look at this, we've got this section of Birch Street south of Jelnik, Jelnik east of Alderson Street itself. Those are probably the projects I'd look at. We could look, potentially developing for an STP grant, or Schofield Avenue, trying to continue that east of Birch Street. So right now, if you go out there, that concrete pavement is starting to pop, kind of like that section west of Birch Street was doing. These projects went from submitting the grant to actual construction is almost a 5-year turnaround time. So I think if we were to submit that portion of Schofield Avenue between Birch and X, that'd be a good candidate. It gets a lot of traffic and probably is going to be needing that repair by about that 2030 timeline. So I guess I'd be looking at adding that in as a project to submit. So the road needs to be there, and it also needs to be part of a capital improvement plan to be eligible for those programs. So, and those are generally 80% funded by the DOT, 20% locally.
Only one? You only want to put one?
We can put more. We can put Birch Street too, or Jelnik, or more sections of Schofield Ave. We can keep going, but.
But anything highlighted, whether it's red, green, or orange, could qualify.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
So. So if you have any suggestions, again, thoughts, that's just kind of more food for thought. We'll discuss next month as well.
So you talk about item 16 too, right?
I didn't get into 16, but I can quick. So
I
six,
thought you brought it up. Go ahead.
yeah. Well, they kind of intertwine. So our capital improvement plan helps kind of dictate the level of maintenance that we want to perform on our streets. So I did include our kind of 2025 budget, and then figure it can lead into our 2026 discussion. So this is just the budget document itself for Public Works. You don't have to necessarily go through line by line. The big ticket item is really this 236, our street maintenance, our surface maintenance. So our 2025 adopted budget there is $550,000, which is our crack sealing, our GSB, our concrete repairs, any of those items. So that's kind of the big number we use for street maintenance. So I'll just skip to the rest of the. So as we talk about then our budget, so that we currently have 119, a little over 119 centerline miles of roads. On our 50+ pieces of equipment. So I'll try to keep this focused on the general fund. We'll get into the utilities, I guess, again later. But the Public Works budget is really the street maintenance, the winter maintenance and traffic control. Street lighting is another big one. So, our operations budget really, over the last 5 years, it's changed a little, but not drastically. Essentially about $2.1 million to this past year being 2.24. So in general, this is the 90+% of the those three budgets, I guess I should say. The summer street operations, winter maintenance, and street lighting is 93% of the budget for that. So
Is there any grant for these projects?
So grants are outside of any of this. This is really just our routine. We need to plow streets, we need to crack seal, we need to. Yeah, this isn't necessarily projects as much as it is our routine day-to-day, Monday through Friday work, well, weekends for plowing. So.
How many miles of road have we added in the last 10 years?
Have we added? Maybe 2, maybe not even. Hinter Springs, the Green Tree Acres coming up will be some miles. We'll have a little bit of the Arrowhead Estates. But yeah, we haven't added a whole lot of miles. I mean, we added some subdivisions.
Add up.
They do, and that's kind of the village really had our big boom in the, right around the turn of the century, around, 2000, when the business park got built, the hospital area was built, the Sandy Meadow subdivision got built. We added almost, I think it was 40+ miles of roadway in about less than a 10-year span. So the village really grew during that time.
Because that's really what's gonna ultimately, that budget, right, is how many miles are we adding? That's why I was just kind of curious, how many have we added in this, so.
Yeah, and we try to keep, so, I always bring this one up, so like the GSB sealant is, a little under $1 a square yard. The chip seals, say $2.30, and overlays $9. A repaving project where we just kind of mill off and repave is about $28, and then the full street reconstruction of replacing the base and all that is about $85. So we want to do as much as we can on the low end so that we're treating as many miles as we possibly can. So that's where the struggle sometimes comes in, is, residents saying, why are you just repaved that road, and now 3 years later you're going back and you're spraying it and you haven't touched my road in 20 years. What's going on? I mean, this is really what we're trying to do, is we know we have to get to your road, but your road's costing 20 times more than what it takes to maintain that road. And we want to make sure we maintain that new road as best as we can so that, 50 years from now, we're not worrying about these projects because the projects aren't needed because everything is good in theory. There'll probably be something, but, if we know our underground infrastructure can get us hopefully 70 years, we want to try to see what can we do with our pavement system so that we can try to get those to last 70 years. And maybe 70 isn't realistic, but maybe 35 to 40 is. And then we're just doing one repaving, or maybe it's 2 overlays on a lower volume road that gets us to that 70-year mark. So we're not spending as much as we're spending as least as possible to keep the road in good condition. And I used, this one was more common back when I first started, and the street maintenance budget got cut every year. It got hard because your, cost of doing business kept going up, but our budget on the street side kept staying level. So we, you couldn't do as much with the money you had yesterday, but yet you're being asked to try to maintain probably more roads than you had. So especially in the early 2000s, everything was brand new, and all of a sudden 2010 came, okay, we gotta do some crack sealing. Now we're in 2025 and those roads are now 25 plus years old, and it's almost half our system. So we're working through that challenge. So here's kind of our 5-year average of repaving. So yeah, so here we go. So in 2020, we had 118.3. Here we're only at 119, so we added 0.7 miles. But this past year, 2024, we were at about 15 miles of maintenance. Previously we were down 7 to 8. So we are getting, as we get these new pavements now, we're able to go and put the lower cost treatments on them and keep up with that, which is kind of the goal moving forward here. And then this is the other fun part, is our transportation aids. So, we peaked in 2011 at 1.248 million in transportation aids. 2025 here, we're at 844. We're gonna hit, I think it's 956 this coming year. So we're moving upwards again in the right direction, but we took a big dip in that 20 teens, early 2020 timeframe. So again, as we had those new roads, we kind of stopped doing some things, and then all of a sudden, when you stop spending money or stop maintaining, the state then says you don't need your money anymore. So they no longer allocate it. So
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's really the trick, right? You've gotta spend a certain threshold to get the money in the future.
correct. Yeah. So hopefully in about 2-3 years, we're back to where we were, in 2011 with our funding levels. So those are all kind of so I guess just wanted to review that and kind of try to reiterate kind of where we're at and the thought process that goes behind what we do and why we do it.
How big of a hole is that bridge gonna cause in the road maintenance?
So that's where, so that would end up being a capital project when we go to redo that. So that wouldn't be, when the day comes where we say we need to redeck this thing, that is a true capital project. That's not, so the $9,000, kind of just making sure we keep that cap on it sealed. That's a maintenance expense, but when it's all of a sudden, whatever $1 million plus redecking replacement, then it becomes a capital expense.
There's some assistance for bridge funding to bridge aid.
So the tricky part with bridge aid is once you're in it, you're always in it. So it can reduce your cost for that year when you need it, but then every year after you're paying into it. Kind of like the culvert aid that the county has too, can pay into the culvert aid project, but then the years you don't need it, you're still paying into the fund, so. There's a little bit of a risk reward.
All right. Question for Michael?
Oh,
Thank
we
you,
don't,
Michael.
we don't need to take any action on that.
No,
We're just gonna continue to dialogue about it.
Right.
yeah,
Okay, future item. Item 17, next meeting, Monday, August 11, 2025 at 4:30 PM. That's a regular meeting. B, Monday, September 8, 2025 at 4:30 PM, regular meeting.
I will not be attending that.
The September 8th?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, Germany.
where are you going?
Germany.
Sure. Last year you went to Italy, didn't you?
Last year was Greece. Staying with the G theme.
Okay, topic for future meeting. Village-wide WPS street lighting update. When we're gonna talk about it, one of this time we gotta talk.
Yeah, I gotta find the time to put it together.
Okay. Conservation of Ryan Street Yard Material Site with the Village of Rothschild, that's another one. Item 19, remote from staff. Is it? No, anything? Gosh.
Nothing.
Forrest?
Nope. So far, I think Schofield Avenue has went really well, so good job.
Thanks.
I was gonna ask you how many accidents, because I saw a couple of them.
I don't get the police reports, so.
Yeah, well, I saw them. I didn't see a police report, I just saw them.
I saw one too, yeah.
Yeah. Joe?
I think I'm good.
Just friendly reminder, we have the acoustic music series going on tomorrow, 7 to 8:30 at Mockmuller.
Okay.
I set it off. Good.
This is good.
Stacy? Nothing? No?
Okay. Remark from committee member, we already asked. They're good. Don't have any announcement. That the motion adjourned at 5:58 PM.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Question, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, I have it. Thank you very much.